Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. This is the first Askgufish of 2018, so let's get right into it. If you had to choose 5 top guitars of 2017, any price, would any guitars under $1,000 make the list? And we're already looking back to 2017. No, that is a good question. And yes, absolutely 2 of the guitars under $1,000 would make my top overall list. The Willie Adler LTD would make the list for the same reason that it made the top under $1,000 list. The Fluence modern pickups are just unreal, and I said it in the other video, but that is the best guitar for tracking that I used in 2017, regardless of price. Fishman pickups are pretty pricey, but the tone and clarity for recording is just phenomenal. And then I'd have to put the Snowfall 7 in my top overall list for 2017 as well. There just isn't another guitar like it, a 7-string, full thickness single cut with a relatively short scale length, and a white phenolic fingerboard. That's too cool, and personally, it's my ideal 7-string. So I'd probably drop those in and drop the Schecter KM7 and LTD Sparrowhawk. The KM7 was incredibly fun, but that's not enough to keep it on the list for me. And the Sparrowhawk looked cool, but I'd take both the Warbird and the Snowfall over it. So there you go, my top overall guitars for 2017. Since you reviewed some Epiphones, I think you should make a video talking about their guitar's price increase. I got my Matt Heafy Les Paul for €600, and now it's €899, €300 more expensive for apparently no reason. I also checked my old Gothic Explorer, which I paid $350 for, and now it's $499. Yeah, so I can't speak for Europe, but at least in the US, Epiphone has increased their prices across the board, some more than others. For example, the Brett Hines Flying V went up from $799 to $899, the Heafy 7 up from $799 to $949, and the Bjorn Galat up from $799 to $899. So both Indonesian and Chinese models. And to be fair, there's a number of reasons for this. The simple fact is cost of production has gone up. Labor prices in countries where Epiphones are made are going up. Especially in China, wages are rising, and there is a major new focus on environmental protection. So a lot of factories, guitar related and otherwise, are being forced to close or update their environmental standards. I'm not entirely sure what Epiphone's specific situation is since they own their own factory, but the point is they're now more expensive to make than they have been in years past. Then you have Gibson's well-documented financial debt and inflation. Things don't stay the same price forever. So it was gonna happen eventually, it just happened now. In my opinion, at least for the high-end models, for the quality, the specs, and the support you get from a company as large as Epiphone, the pricing is still pretty decent. They aren't the absolute steals that they were before, but I still think that they're good value. Why is Gibson a no-show at NAMM? Yeah, so if you haven't heard about this, Gibson will not be at Winter NAMM 2018. Instead, they're focusing on the Consumer Electronics Show, which is going on now-ish. And I guess from a business perspective, this makes sense. NAMM and CES are 2 big shows in the same month. And showcasing products at NAMM is not cheap, especially in the big room that Gibson normally gets. CES is a bigger show, it's more well covered by mainstream media outlets, and Gibson is already legendary in the guitar world. They know wherever and whenever they announce new models, it's going to be reported in the guitar community. They just announced a new semi-hollow version of the custom double cut they revealed at last year's CES, and it was all over the guitar Facebook groups. The simple fact is going to CES gives Gibson exposure to a new, wider audience. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm disappointed. I've talked about it before, but it just seems like Gibson is so disconnected and disinterested in being in the guitar community. This move kinda reinforces that. A number of people told me that NAMM is less and less useful for business every year, but it's still a great opportunity for Gibson representatives to connect with influencers, with consumers, get their guitars into the hands of more guitarists, especially younger ones. I've mentioned before that connecting with their audience and the guitar community is something that Gibson's really struggling with at the moment. So from that perspective, I'm not sure I agree with this move. Plus, I was hoping to see some of those custom shop Gibsons there in person, which isn't gonna happen now, but that's just me. The other question is, will this set a precedent? In 2019, will other major companies start pulling out as well? I mean, a lot of well-known companies don't participate. Mesa Boogie, for example, one of my favorite amp manufacturers, or even Jet City, 2 of the amps that I own don't attend NAMM. But that's different than if Fender decides that it's also too big for NAMM and decides to bail on the show as well. NAMM is the show for us gear nerds, but I don't see how it could survive without the both of them. It just doesn't seem like it would be as legitimate without the two iconic American guitar companies. Hopefully that doesn't happen, and hopefully Gibson decides to come back in 2019, but we'll see. What do you think of the 2018 line of ESP LTDs? I'm really digging the Black Metal and 400 series. On another note, how do you celebrate Christmas? I'll answer the Christmas thing first because there is so much cool stuff to go through for the 2018 LTDs. Basically, my family doesn't do birthday or Christmas presents. For a few years now, my dad plans mystery trips. He sends us all a packing list and a time to show up at the airport. So I get there, scan my passport, and that's how I figure out where I'm going. It can literally be anywhere in the world from Botswana to Sri Lanka. Since my parents live in a different country, we don't get to see each other very often, so when we do, it's pretty special. And as for the LTDs, yes. I'm not gonna go through all of the new LTD models because there are a ton of them. I'll leave a link below if you haven't seen them yet, and I'm just gonna go over some of my favorites. Now obviously I'm gonna start with one of the new signature Eclipses because that's one of the ones I'm looking most forward to, and that's the new Neil Westfall signature. It doesn't look like it's changed all that much since it was unveiled on Neil's Instagram a couple months ago. It's an Olympic white Eclipse with a 24 fret ebony fingerboard, single bare knuckle pickup, and a single volume control. Simple, elegant, I love it. Obviously that's gonna be on the channel at some point when I can find it. I found that one so exciting I basically skipped over everything, including the Kirk Hammett signature that's right above it. Now I usually kind of gloss over the Hammett signatures, sorry Kirk, because they're all kind of the same with different finishes. I mean, the man knows what he likes. But the new purple sparkle version actually comes with a Palfaro fingerboard instead of rosewood and new EMG Kirk Hammett Bone Breaker signature pickups. This is the first mention I've heard of Hammett signature pickups, and nobody really seems to be talking about it. But I'm interested in seeing what EMG is bringing to the table. Increased wah response? Built-in wah? We'll see at NAMM, I guess. Then the brand new Black Metal series that you mentioned? Yes. All of the yes. There's an M, a 7-string Viper, and most importantly, an Eclipse. Black satin finish, black hardware, Makassar, I have no idea if I'm saying that right, ebony fingerboards with black binding, no inlays, but with glow-in-the-dark side markers, and a single black winner, which is probably my favorite Seymour Duncan pickup. I kind of wish that they kept the Seymour Duncan logo in the medieval font because it looks damn cool, but whatever. I'm also not sure about the newly designed Black Metal LTD logo on the headstock because I can't freaking see it in the pictures, but I am loving these single pickup, single volume workhorse guitars. Then finally, LTD is embracing multi-scale, and they're not half-assing it. There's 7 and 8 string versions, they've got hip shot bridges and special angled Seymour Duncan, Nazgul, and Sentient pickups. If you haven't played these fan frets before, they're pretty cool. The last ones I'm excited about are the new Evertune Eclipses. There's 6, 7, and 8 string versions with what I'm guessing are 24 3/4, 25 1/2, and 26 1/2 scale lengths. So these look like pretty solid competitors to the Epiphone Hayfie Les Pauls if you're disappointed in the lack of Evertune and wanted a longer scale length for the extended range models. Yeah, and I mean there's loads more. A ton of the new finishes look sweet. There's a number of other signature models that look interesting. There are 200 series extended range Eclipses, a Pelham Blue Sparrowhawk, a Neon Pink M200. LTD, stop it. Just stop it. And that is it for this episode of Ask-A-Fish. Let me know your thoughts on anything discussed in this video. What do you think of Gibson skipping NAMM this year? And what do you think of the 2018 LTD lineup? I'd love to know. Of course, you can leave your questions below for a future episode. Like, subscribe, click the little bell for notifications, do all those YouTube things, and I will see you for the next video.